We have Dr. C.R. Jayaprakash, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Communication, PSG CAS, Coimbatore. Before we begin our formal session, we have this prayer song. Let us listen to this song. So once again, welcome to the participants. Loyola Viscom department is organizing a 2-day virtual conference on COVID-19 lockdown game changer in communication media, dimensions and implications. Morning we had COVID-19 health and innovations session, and now we have another topic, COVID-19 and digital media. This session is moderated by Dr. C.R. Jayaprakash, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Communication, PSG College. Now, I request Malini Madam, Director Kaushal Kendra of Loyola College, to introduce him to the participants. Malini ma'am.
Thank you, Father. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Father. Very good afternoon to one and all present here. I'm very happy to do the introduction for Dr. Jayaprakash. Let me just share the screen.
So you're also sharing screen.
No, just
Okay.
in the PPT.
Yeah.
So like Father said, welcome to the second session of today. So Dr. Jayaprakash is the Associate Professor and Head the Department of Communication in PSG College of Arts and Science. Sir has received his PhD in Environmental Communication at PSG College of Arts and Science in the year 2019, and he is currently the Associate Professor and Head, like I told you. And he also serves as a staff coordinator in the Eco Club of the college from the year 2006. And he is the course coordinator for the add-on certificate course in journalism and mass communication at the college. And Sir has also 7 years of industry experience. He has worked as the staff reporter for Dinamalar, Coimbatore and Nilgiris, and also as the chief reporter for Dinamani, Coimbatore. And he has delivered over 150 lectures on media, wildlife, and conservation. And Dr. Jayaprakash has won 5 awards in photography and conservation. He has conducted residential workshops for journalists, lawyers on behalf of all these organizations, Worldwide Fund for Nature, and many others. And as an active academician and practitioner, he has led several major and minor research projects that were funded by both central and state level institutions. He has published 8 research articles and has chaired sessions in over 6 international and national level seminars and conferences. And he's also a proud member of 10 or more professional bodies that are connected to media and wildlife. So here is the list. So I'm very happy to introduce Sir and welcome to this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for the introduction. I once again thank Team Loyola Viscom for offering me a chance to, to chair this session and listen and analyze what is happening with the COVID-19 and the information sharing in our society. And this session, COVID-19 and digital media, it's a new one because more than the pandemic called COVID-19, we are stuck with the problem called infodemic. In March at PSG Arts, we conducted a conference on sponsored by ICSSR. In that, one ICMR scientist told, for every single true news shared in the social media, there are at least 134 fake news items coming in. So the ratio of real news versus fake news was 1:134 even before this COVID-19 could land in India. And after that, it further increased, and I think it's coming down nowadays. So as practitioners, as communicationists, it is our job to identify what is happening and why it is happening. Because we cannot deal with pandemic directly. It is for the medical fraternity and the administration side to deal with it. But as experts in the field of communication, we should analyze and find out where this problem occurs and why it is going viral. Why this infodemic is more viral than pandemic. So that is our job. And rightly, Team Viscom Loyola, they have, they've made this session for us. And on behalf of the organizing team, I want that is the paper presenters to have a focus on their topic first. First, before they start, they can take a minute for introducing their research topic. Why they have chosen this and what for then they can go for its relevance and methodology. So they can spend some time, maybe 2 to 4 minutes on methodology, and they need not, keep explaining their findings, because they could have come out with a lot of findings, empirical data, and it's a 2-day seminar going on, and you keep flooding with data. The people, sitting at home and watching it for 2 days, they'll feel a bit fatigued. So more than the findings, analysis. You can tell the important findings and come to the analysis part, and later you can come to the suggestion part. So we can start with the intro, then go for the methodology, then little on findings and the analysis part, so that from there we can go for the discussion session. And I think the moderator has told us that maybe the presenters can do it in 10 plus 2 minutes. Then 1 or 2 important questions, if it is there, I can tell it to them. And after all the 6 presenters finish their presenting thing, I think we can have a good discussion, and we have ample time. Our session is from 3 to 5, and for 6 speakers we have enough time, and we have enough experts also. I'm really happy to start with, already it's 131 plus participants, and we are, though an afternoon, it is lively here to join the team. And I now invite the speaker and the moderator to start the session, and we'll listen to them, and hope we have a fruitful discussion at the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have 6 presenters for your information. You are given 10 minutes, then plus 2 minutes. At the 10th minute, we will be giving a warning. Try to conclude yourself. First presentation, new media platforms as communication tools for educating during lockdown, access versus equity, by Kami from Mumbai. She is joining from Mumbai. Then second, Vaishnavi from Hindu College, Chennai. The topic is digital divide during lockdown, a study on the undergraduate students in a rural area. Third presentation is done by V. Sharmila, University of Madras. A study on changing consumption pattern of education through virtual reality faced by working parents and transgender parents, working parents and transgender parents during COVID-19 quarantine. Fourth paper is Munu from Calicut, Kerala. The topic is exclusion of 2.61 lakh students, how the Kerala education system digitally divided the underprivileged. Fifth paper, Professor Lazarus Lepcha from Loyola College, Degree College, Bangalore, the face of digital divide in the lockdown. And the sixth last presentation, Mrs. Asma Dunisia from research scholar from Mysore. The topic is reported and unreported violence against women during lockdown. Very interesting papers. Now we will move to the first presentation. Vijay, can you share your PPT? Who is sharing? Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Start. Your time starts now.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My topic, as we can see, is new media platforms as communication tools for education during the lockdown period, access versus equity. The structure of the presentation, can we go to the next slide?
Yes,
it's somehow in this line, yeah. And let's go to the next slide. Let me start with the backdrop of knowledge society, wherein we talk of education and digitalization. Well, one has long heard the rhetoric of ICT in education and knowledge society. It found its coinage as early as 1966 when Robert E. Lane called a knowledge society as one which had its society driven by logic of inquiry based on science and technology. And over time, with digitalization in inquiry, we have different terms associated with it in terms of information society, learning society. And also because ICT in education has been given so much of emphasis, we see it in policy initiative globally in the work of global world bodies like World Bank, UN and its agencies, ITU, and of course in Asia Pacific, we have UNESCO's ICT in education policy, which is much referred to. As far as India is concerned, we can take reference to the satellite instructional television experiment in 1975 to 76, and also EduSat, which was an attempt to bring about satellite education to large part of rural area. Then we had Education and Research Network, we had Consortium for Educational Communication Center, we had the National Knowledge Commission, NKN, NPTEL, which we all are aware of, and then the much talked about National Mission on Education through Information Communication Technology, NME ICT as we see it. Can we go to the next slide, please? So NME ICT, as we see, has two major components, two major objectives, apart from the many that have been highlighted. It is in terms of, number one, providing connectivity, and second, in terms of content generation, basically to build digital divide. And a special mention can also be made in terms of, can we go to the next slide, please? ICT in education school and several other initiatives taken under NME ICT, wherein the idea has been to bring equity, to bring access through education using digital technology. And ICT at school is also under revision under the 12th plan period. Could we go to the next slide? Seeing the emphasis that is given by so many policies globally, internationally, nationally, and initiatives taken, when we are faced with a lockdown situation like this, and suddenly we find ourselves at a loss in certain cases, it makes us wonder what happened to all these policies, where do we stand? And that is why I made an attempt to make an exploratory study to look at the scenario of digital divide, scenario of using communication tools through digitalization, by looking at the field area, that is what is happening in social media, how have people responded to online education system that has happened during the lockdown period, and also by following the actor network theory, by following different respondents about their opinion about this. So that way, following Callan's method, I had looked into problematization as to how identification and description of purpose, needs, and benefits take place. How do different actors take part in this? How are relationships created? How do they engage in terms of the understanding of digitalization? How are people enrolled in this? And then what are the different strategies that we can think about by this initial gaze of discourses and themes that are taking place? Can we go to the next slide, please? And since morning, of course, we have been hearing that, COVID-19 has disrupted our life. And then, of course, it has, disrupted educational institution. And then the rhetoric, again, that we hear is, this is the new normal, this is the paradigm shift. And the first time when lockdown was introduced, being human, we cannot forget what Paul Washwick said in terms of one cannot not communicate. So we started our extensive work of trying to reach out to communicate through the various digital platforms. Can we go to the next slide? We see the different platforms which have boomed. We said we have seen that webinars have mushroomed like anything, and we have seen different types of responses from different stakeholders involved in using ICT. And in this, we see that institutions who had earlier worked on ICT or have some understanding of ICT have made good use of ICT in education, whereas institutions who were not really prepared or not in a position to use ICT have been faced with various issues like digital literacy, technophobia, and even basic access to internet and equipments. Can we go to the next slide? Hence, it becomes essential to unpack what is happening in this current situation when we use such communication tools. First thing, of course, in terms of challenges, it's adapting to the learning environment. It becomes very important that when we start communicating, even now, for instance, we're using a tool to connect, but we have a different kind of environment that is created through being one, behind the screen and within the screen. So what kind of learning environments are created? There itself, there is a lot of digital gap that is created, like our keynote speaker had spoken in the morning. It's not just about having equipment, but about so many other issues that are involved. Other issues that have involved is in terms of engagement of the students, the level of interactivity. And it also becomes important to understand that are we using these tools as just communication tools, or are we incorporating pedagogy and instruction into the communication tools? What is the role of communication, the medium, and the pedagogy and the instructional part in this entire discourse that is happening? Here, Prinsky's narrative also comes about the idea of digital natives and digital immigrants. What are the learning processes that are happening? As one of the parents mentioned, right now the learning outcome has become a different kind of a model where it is teacher directed and parent dependent. So these are the things that we are seeing, even in terms of government initiatives. Say, for example, in Mumbai, many of the schools have started online way of communicating with their students. They were happy with it. Then suddenly the government felt, no, too much of screen time is not good. They roll back the issue. So there's a lot of assimilation and understanding of this entire process of digitalization happening with the lockdown that has been imposed. So we also have to see how technology is being used, what way it is being used, whether it's synchronous way or asynchronous way. But as far as digital divide is concerned, it is also the issue of security, cyber security. Even if people are in places where they have access, it doesn't mean that they do not have digital divide. There is digital divide. So there's a whole lot of unpacking that is involved. I'm not going into the details because of the restriction of time. And of course, there were other issues related with evaluation, exams, tests. I think, yeah, we all have been, exposed to all of these issues. And in this relation, of course, the latest initiative taken by the government, can we go to the next slide, please, is MHRD's Yukti, acronym for Young India Combating COVID with Knowledge, Technology and Innovation, wherein they have tried to create a two-way communication, wherein we have suggestions coming in and them trying to, analyze and trying to build up and understand how, we are responding to this entire issue that we're talking about. Can we go to the next slide, please? And again, looking at the percentages, one slide back, please. Do we have that? One slide back, please. Okay, okay, fine. If we look at the percentage, we will realize that about majority of the world population, 46%, is not connected to internet. We all know that internet density is more in India as far as concerned. It's in the urban area, whereas rural area does not have the internet density. That's why we can go to the next slide. We have these images which we all must have been exposed to, where people are desperately trying to connect. The idea is about being there or being left out. Yeah, and then we also have images coming in, or themes coming in. If we can go to the next slide, please, where there has been resistance to, the next slide, please. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, where there has been resistance in terms of, no, the previous picture. The previous picture, please. Yeah, so there has been resistance. So if you're talking about right to education, yeah, we also have this basic right to information, which becomes very important. And if this information is around digital technology, then there's a lot of thinking that we need to do. So can we go to the next slide, please? The next one. Yeah, so the emerging themes in this digital lockdown scenario, not that it did not exist earlier, but it becomes more recurrent and more visible, is in terms of the social factor, the economic factor, political, geographical, even in terms of age and gender. We have development divide, we have cyber security issues, we have skills and attitude issues, and we also have infrastructural issues. If we go to the next slide, we all know the can we go to the next slide, please? We have this emphasis on the 21st century skill. And if you look at the purple one, it's about information, media, and technology skill. This is where the crux of this issue lies. If we are faced with a situation like this, yeah, digital divide was always there, it was there, but now it becomes so much more obvious. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so hence the suggestive policies based on emerging themes would be to look into mode of delivery. Not that we don't have policies, but then this lockdown has made us more aware to look at how we understand technology in terms of literacy and skills. and also to look at how are we even now using these communication tools. Is it communication tools versus pedagogical tool, or communication tool and pedagogical tool? To look at the instructional designs that we are creating so that it is suitable in the context, so that the divide does not exist. What are the attitudes of the stakeholders? What is the community involvement in this case? And understanding how the actors are contributing to this, and also the geographical cultural context of learning, the socio-economic condition, as we had mentioned earlier, the kind of learning environment that is created within the screen and outside the screen, and also the issue of long-term sustainable education system. Because if we talk of knowledge society was not always because of digitalization. Knowledge societies always existed even before technology came in. Now, how do we look at knowledge society with technology, and what if we do not have technology? These are the issues that we need to unpack and re-look into and reimagine in terms of education, in terms of teaching and learning. And how do we sustain education system? Are we too dependent on a particular structure, a construct of being in an institute to continue with education? Are we dependent on teachers? Are we dependent on technology? Or we need an complete overhaul of how education system is looked upon? And this COVID-19 makes us relook and rethink at all of these. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Sir, can I
sir?
tell her a few points so that she can answer it at the later stage during the discussion time?
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Because your presentation was fine up to that time. You have cited few examples, but you could have done much in your paper presented to the seminar. So what I want you to do is, like, at the end of this session, you need to answer something about the tools deployed so far, because this is about communication tools, access versus EQT, as you told.
Right.
And you mentioned about CEC, MOOC, and even EduSat. We had an EduSat which was there for over 10 years. And what was its impact taking to the distance education to the masses? Did it happen? And even now, the government in 2017-18, enrollment ratio was 22 point something. They want to increase it to 30% by 2022. So are these tools working out? And how can we improve? Come out with suggestions you might have done in your research article, and you just concentrate on that and come out with a clear answer with some theoretical, and any other country has done like this. Compare Indian situation with any other foreign countries, and come to the point. This COVID, how these tools we have used and where we have failed. You can also come out with those suggestions.
Right.
So you can prepare and present it at the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharmila, are you ready? Unmute your mic.
Sir, I was third
share your
presenter, no,
PPT.
sir.
Oh, third one.
Second
Okay.
one.
Vaishnavi,
Yeah.
Vaishnavi, are you ready?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Share your PPT.
Yeah, just a minute.
I'm sorry. Now, Vaishnavi is presenting Digital Divide During Lockdown, a study on undergraduate students in rural area. This looks very interesting. So now I request the presenter to make a presentation. Yeah, your time starts now.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon to one and all present here. My topic is on digital divide during lockdown, a study on the undergraduate students in rural area. So, as a COVID-19 pandemic has started, in less than 6 months, it has spread over 190 countries and territories, and it had led to nationwide closure across the countries. It had started affecting sectors like IT, manufacturing, entertainment, and education departments. According to the UNESCO, 91% of world student population is getting affected, and also 32 crore students are affected in India. Hence, the government started taking initiatives and has come up with e-learning programs to ensure that the learning is not completely suspended. And the teachers in schools and colleges have started taking online classes. According to the report given by BAC, there has been a 30% increase in the usage of online education apps since the lockdown. So from this, we have come to know that digital education is becoming a part of mainstream education during this lockdown. However, we do not know how many of the rural students have access to these digital technologies. Here comes the term digital divide. The digital divide is a socio-economic issue that creates a gap between the people who have easy access to internet, ICT, and the new digital technology, social media platforms, and with the people who do not have access to the same. Professor from Kirori Mal College stated that as schools and colleges move online, students with less access to the digital devices and internet get further disadvantaged and are at risk of getting out altogether. Another professor from Brookings Institution stated that in order to achieve universal quality education by technology, the digital divide must be addressed. With over 56 million internet users, India ranks second largest in the world's digital market. In India, the internet penetration rate has raised up to 50% in the year 2020 compared to the 4% rate in 2007. Though it has raised up to 50%, it's only half of the population in India which has access to the internet this year. And Gionia in his article reported that as there is a lack of needed infrastructure, insufficient internet facility, lack of stable electricity supply, the shift to virtual classrooms cannot be done immediately. Also, he have stated that female students suffer more than the male students. And due to lockdown, teachers and edtech entrepreneurs are trying to bring out new normal in education. The companies like Byju's are also started offering free e-courses due to this lockdown in order to widen their demography to all the audiences. And he also stated that the artificial intelligence will play a major role in post-COVID learning, as it will be helpful for the teachers to analyze each and every individual students and monitor them. Iram Aga in her article reported that professor from West Bengal College took a survey in her classroom and found that many students are lack of internet and they cannot access the digital technologies. So she started to record her lectures on YouTube and started sharing that on email. And also she decided to archive the classes in the Google Classroom app so that the students can check it whenever it is possible for them to access the internet. Also, compared to the female students, much number of male students are using digital media. The urban students are ahead of the rural students in the usage of digital content due to the lack of internet connectivity awareness and the lack of training institutions, mainly in rural area compared to the urban area. Another researcher identified that only 6.25% of permanent computer teachers are available in the rural area compared to the 96.87% of computer teachers available in the urban area, so that the students in urban area can benefit more than the urban rural students. Khatri in her report stated that the Cellular Operators Association of India wrote a letter to the Telecom Secretary stating that there might be a lockdown in there may be a breakdown in telecom network services as the officials are not allowing the telecom operator staffs to provide fiber optic connections and do the maintenance works. Also, a report given in India TV stated that the experts have warned that the digital divide in the country may turn into an operational nightmare. Suicide by a Kerala schoolgirl allegedly over not having access to the smartphones to attend classes. Stories of students in remote areas having to sit on rooftops to catch internet, siblings competing to get their parents' gadgets are just few of the case studies of the existing digital divide. The main objectives of the study is to assess the digital divide among the undergraduate students in the rural area, to analyze the awareness on the usage of e-learning platform, to find out the purpose and the time in the usage of internet during this lockdown, to assess the acceptance, usage, and effectiveness of online classes during the lockdown period, to ascertain the reason for the successful and unsuccessful usage of digital technologies among the rural students. Coming to the research methodology, I have taken a survey method with a simple random sampling technique, and the data was connected with a self-structured questionnaire. My sample is around 118. Data interpretation analysis. I'll just move to the findings part due to the time constraint. I've summarized all those things in the findings. There are almost equal number of male and female students who have participated in this study. Major students were from arts and science stream, and 78% samples come under the family income of below 1,20,000 rupee. Only 52 students are aware of the ICT. 84 students in rural area have internet accessibility, and most of them are using mobile phones, mobile data packages to access the internet. Half of the sample have problem with internet speed and connectivity, and also say the mobile data packages are not affordable during this lockdown. And also many are not satisfied with the speed and connectivity of the internet during this lockdown, and it's not affordable for them. Most of the rural area students spend more than 4 hours in a day in using internet. It means 38 students spend more than 5 hours, and around 32% are spending around 2 to 3 hours in a day. 55% of students are using internet for entertainment, and only 19% students are using it for education, and the remaining 24 have given option for getting information. In this, compared to the female and male, female students are using much for education purpose, and male students are using internet much to get information. And in entertainment part, both are equally using it for entertainment. Around 90% of students are aware of e-learning. Although they are aware of e-learning, they are they are taking courses in e-learning platforms like Swayam, Udemy, and Teachable in only 47%. 67 students are attending online classes. However, only 40% are interested to continue the online classes during this lockdown. It is very important to be known to all the college and school teachers and authorities how much the students are interested to attend the classes, and whether the classes taken during this lockdown will be effective for the students, and will they do it in a sincere way. And the majority of 54% students feel difficult in using digital platform due to the lack of internet accessibility. And the successful usage, the reason they have given is high-speed internet connectivity. The 41% students have given the option as high-speed internet connectivity. Coming to the suggestions part, there is a significant digital divide among the rural students in knowing about the ICT usage of computer, internet technology, and broadband, and in broadband services. In order to bridge the gap of digital divide, the following suggestions can be considered. High-speed internet connectivity can be provided to the rural areas, and the institutions can start conducting workshops, orientation programs for the students to get to know about the importance of the usage of internet, and also its impact on students' educational performances. And mainly, the major thing here is to know that more number of training centers must be available in the rural area, as the urban area have more number of training centers. The rural students feel difficult to become equal as of urban students. The lack of confidence, this is another major thing to note down. Lack of confidence, competence, and knowledge among the teachers in teachers in schools and colleges. So professional development trainings should be done for the school and college teachers to get them to get updated themselves, so that they'll be confident in using these technologies, and also in teaching these technologies to the students. And also the institutions should should frequently conduct these professional development courses and have a follow-up, and also should get the feedback to the teachers. Government should provide low-cost ICT tools for the rural students and the students who come from a poor family background. So now, low-cost ICT tools like reused, recycled, or used computers. The many companies are offering such computers. Those computers can be given to the rural students, and low-cost laptops can be circulated. So all these things will be useful for the rural students to learn much about the ICT and the digital technologies. Coming to the conclusion part, in present scenario where all the education institutions are moving online to take classes, the existence of digital divide is a great obstacle for the students in rural area. So the government should come up with the new policies and implement them in timely basis to bridge the gap in digital divide and ensure that the students in every part of the country gets benefited with the use of ICT and new digital technologies. Thank you.
Well presented, Vaishnavi. I have an
Thank you,
observation
sir.
for other presenters.
Okay, sir.
As I told earlier, the
Okay.
managing your time is very important. What you have done is you took the first 5 minutes to tell about the review of related literature,
Okay,
and
okay, sir.
then you almost skipped the methodology. You had good graphs, and suddenly you went for the suggestions and concluded it. And so what happens is what you have done, the field work, the data. So
Okay.
that is a problem for us to understand. Maybe during
Okay.
the discussion time, important
Yes, sir.
finding. No, you did a lot of infographics. In fact,
Yes.
if you ask me, what is the major change in the media during this lockdown period is, I will tell, even in the print media, lot of infographics have come in, especially Times of India was doing, Express was doing, Hindu, if you take, front page, infographic, excellent graphs. So that is one thing which has come up. So you have to come out with such findings, and you have
Yes,
told
sir.
like 4 hours of internet students
Yeah.
are involved, and what
More
do they
than
do? That
5
is very
hours.
important.
Yeah.
Their most orientation is towards entertainment than information or another thing, information. Then news literacy is one thing which we need to think about. The last one, no, one valid point you told, like even teachers lack confidence, competence, knowledge. Yes, of course. As you told, I think the previous speaker told about digital natives and digital immigrants. You all are born digital, like. So it might take some time for us to catch you up. But
Yes, sir.
a proper training, as you suggested, it will help us. We'll think on that. We'll discuss
Yes,
on
sir.
that. So
Yeah.
some of your interesting numbers, the data
Yeah.
which supports your suggestion, we need it
Yes.
at the end of the session. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Only due to the time constraint, I have moved it fastly. The
Yeah,
data.
that review of literature, you took much time. That is the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Vaishnavi, take down whatever you suggested.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Later we'll have involved discussion.
Sure,
Next
sir. Sure,
presenter. Sharmila, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Please start.
Yes,
Share your PPT.
sir. I asked someone to share it, sir.
Vijay? Vijay?
Father, I will share. I will share.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The topic is study on changing consumption pattern, education through virtual reality faced by working parents and transgender parents during COVID-19 quarantine. Yeah, it's coming.
Just go to the front first. First slide. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your time starts now. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. To most of you, it would be something that you can connect with your family life, where many of you are working parents, and to a new perspective, I have just added the transgender parents on what they would think during the COVID-19 and what is their perspective on the online education. Okay.
Ma'am, leave
To
the
next
phone
slide.
as it is. Your breathing disturbs. Okay.
Okay. Sorry. To the next slide.
Okay.
Please.
Speak a little louder.
Next slide, please.
Vijay? Yeah.
So COVID-19 pandemic is something that has rolled up the entire global upside down. So such to just prevent us from the virus, such prevention or protection is, I would say, online class and work from home is another prevention and protection that we have taken in. To give this introduction, what I have used in the research is that what is how do the working parents balance their work life and the online classes for their kids, and what are the psychological balance that they go through during this pandemic period, and the same criteria would go for the transgender parents as well. To the next slide, please. Okay, the methodology that I've used here is the qualitative method. In-depth interview, everything was done through the phone call. The variables is just the age and the gender, women and trans parents. To the next slide, please. Okay, the theoretical framework is from Carl J. Hendrich, where he says the parents' employment and child well-being, where he says the parent has to be a role model to the children on the one hand, and on the other hand, their work culture might impair the developing bond between parents and young children, especially when the parents work long hours or even night shifts. That definitely has happened during the COVID-19 as well, because most of us would have gone to office work only during your working hour, wherein when you're at home you have to be available at all time. So the questions that was commonly asked depends upon the field work of their parents. Okay, these are 5 major questions that's been asked to all the respondents. What is the difference in your life before lockdown and after lockdown is one question. And how challenging it was to handle kids and your work from home at the same time. And what was the new thing that you came to know about your kid during the lockdown? Maybe the kids behave differently during the class hours or in the school, and it is different when their parents are around us. So now it's both together at home. So how do they challenge it? That's going to be a new perspective. And what is the personality development of you as a parent? What do they have personality development in the quarantine period? And how did they tackle when you're both the kids, especially when there are 2 kids at home? One would have both the kids would have same time online classes, and how did they tackle between that? That was few questions that was asked to the respondent. Next slide, please. Okay, the research finding is basically the first was most of the common respondents' answers were the technical issues were the major drawback. There were noise which weren't proper. We were or not audible to listen to the kids' classes, and a few respondents said that we have to sit with the kid. Use one headphone for us and one for the kid to make them understand, or else it is like if we go out or we have to do our personal work, it is not going to work out there. And the family with 2 children's gadgets is a big disaster there, where 2 kids cannot be given 2 computers at home. When there is a middle class family, they can't afford both 2 computers to 2 kids. So that was either they have to miss one of the kids' class and one have to attend the class. It was like that. And the next day when the missed kid go for the class, they are not able to understand the situation or the class that was going on the previous day. And the illiterate parents knowledge on the app, especially there were few apps that we are using during the classes, online classes, that they are not able to access it properly. And then kindergarten online classes, even that was challenging for the parents to make them sit, understand what is an online class, and settle down them at home, because when their parents are around, the kids would differently behave, and it was very challenging for the parents to find it out. And creativity was another good thing that was happening, where most of the respondents said that the kids have become more creative. They have started during craft work. Their handmade works are being more important now. They have stopped. Most of them have reduced using the cell phone during this quarantine period. They are bored to watch all the time on the phone, because they have their online classes. Again, if they want to see something that they are interested in, they are not ready to do it. They are more creative and they want to sit, finish what they want to, do some craft work for their family something like that. And then terrace concept, wherein terrace concept is like most of us, we would be running to our office, coming back home, doing our daily work at the home, and then we'll be finished with that. Wherein terrace concept is where the parents and the kids were able to go to their terrace, have some time, give them breathe space, so that they were able to have some discussions on the family, have some good time during the terrace concept. Okay, the next slide, please. Okay, the conclusion is that I didn't talk about the transgender parents because the transgender's parenting style is completely different. Their new perspective is that the work culture is different, wherein the normal parents working culture would be like they can sit at home, but for them they have only the basic work that they can do is just go to they can go to a shop, beg for the family, get the money, and then use it for their family living. Or else it would be work in a shop where they are being accepted. Only when there is space for them to accept, only then they can have their work. Most of the respondents, the unique respondents were one was begging, and then the one said they work in the shop. If the shop has been closed, that's it, we don't have our income to earn. And the news perspective of the online teaching has technical issues, but at the same time it's just refreshing the curriculum of the kids. As he mentioned, the jet lag of the working parents, wherein they definitely go through a psychological problem because they have to handle their work that has to be done for their office, and simultaneously there were their kids work also. The teachers were giving them homeworks to sit at home. The parents have to be present for them to make them understand the concept and then learn. That was one thing. And then next slide, please. The reality, the work from home and the online classes follows their day-to-day life time. That's especially when work from home is not just 9 to 5 job where they have to be available all the time whenever is needed. Maybe I can give an example, like maybe a staff who's just organizing a webinar, let it be. They have to be available all the time. They have to make arrangements for the webinar, make slots ready for the presenters, speakers. Everything has to be on time, and they have to be available all the time. If there is any technical issues, again they have to be there. The other side of their family life also gets disturbed because of their work culture. And multitasking has been more active during the lockdown, that it's no personal space for their working parents. Thank you.
And from my side, the topic, she had a good perspective. Like rather than the users, she tried to bring in the perspective from the parents, linking it to consumption of pattern of education. But I think she didn't give a big touch on that. How she was telling about how parents can sit together with them, will they have time? And again, that is a problem now. Up to fifth standard, there is no need for any online classes, and after fifth, you know even the students, they won't like their parents to sit with them. That also happens. And what I would have suggested you is, instead of going for directly for questionnaire, a focus group study, like you could have met some, family physicians or family counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, so that how this relation can improve the, absorbing capacity of the students, and let them teach the etiquettes in online learning, in a way. From an expert angle, if you could have done it, you could have got a lot of inputs for us. Maybe you could have done it in your paper. You could have failed to present it here. If you have anything like that, you can bring it at the end of the session.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shall we go to next president, sir?
Yes.
Munu, get ready. You
Yes,
said you
sir.
are sharing your PPT, yeah?
Yes, I'll be sharing my PPTs.
Yeah.
Just give me 1 minute.
Professor Munu is from Malabar Christian College, Calicut, Kerala. He is doing presentation on exclusion of 2.1 lakh students, how the Kerala education system digitally divided the underprivileged.
So I'd shared the screen. Is it visible?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
No,
No,
it's not
not
coming.
visible.
Okay, wait, sir. Just give me.
Just to say presentation, that's all. You have to pin it or what?
Okay, yeah.
Some technical problem. You stop
No.
it and then share it. Yeah. Stop presentation and then share. Choose your PPT wherever it is available. Otherwise, we will share.
No, fine, sir, fine. I will do it.
The beginning you did a demo, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now
It's
it's on,
coming.
right? Fine, right?
Okay, your time starts now.
Yes, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Monu NC from Malabar Christian College. I'm a guest faculty from the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication. First, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the Loyola College, Chennai, for giving this opportunity to me. As you can see, my topic, which is related to digital divide, is titled as Exclusion of 2.61 lakh students, how Kerala education system digitally divide the unprivileged. The previous speakers had already mentioned much about digital divide and all. So I think I don't have to stick much in these topics. So as you can see, digital divide has many definitions, like the world can be divided into people who do and do not have access to all the
Sir, your
capability.
audio is low, sir. Monu?
Yeah, so 1 second.
Sir, your audio is very low.
Okay, so 1 second. Yeah.
Speak into the mic and then
Yes,
if you want, raise the volume.
Yeah, okay, sir. I'm sorry.
Jayaprakash, is the audio is okay?
I think now I'm
He
audible,
needs to
right?
increase it.
Is it okay?
Okay, now okay.
Now I'm audible, right? Yeah, okay. It's an issue with my headset. Okay, so digital divide is like world can be divided into people who do and don't have access to or the capability to use modern information technologies or the ICT, much as telephone, television, internet, and all. So it can be defined as the gap between the demographic and the regions that have access to the modern information and technologies like telephones, televisions, and internet, as I said earlier. And digital divide exists between like cities and rural areas. Cities and rural areas, educated and uneducated, social economic groups. Like we can give an example as like the people who live in an urban area, like in a city like Mumbai, and people who are living in a rural area. They have much digital divide differences. The internet penetrations will be high in an urban area comparing to the rural areas, as you all know. And as I said, like most of our presenters have shared this in the previous presentations. So normally it's the the distribution of access or the use or the impact of information and communication technology between any number of distinct groups can be termed as digital divide, or globally between more and less industrially developed nations. For example, like we can compare the global giants of as the United States comparing to developing nation like India, or least developed nations like South Africa, Ghana, and all. So the origin of digital divide, it was coined by Larry Irving, was the head of the National Telecommunication and Information Administration, the NTIA in US. So according to Larry, he describes digital divide as a gap in terms of access to the use of information and communication technology. The question of having and the not having access. Okay, and then the National Digital Inclusion Agency, that too in the United States, had defined digital divide as a digital inclusion. So according to the NDIA, digital inclusion refers to the activities necessary to ensure that all individuals and communities, including the most disadvantaged, have access to the use of the information and communication technologies. And these are also the definitions and of digital divide and all, and the divide between the different countries of regions of the world. As I said, as I gave the example of the United States and and India, and the technological gap between, yes, that's the same. the technological gap between the developing and the developed countries in an international scale, if you took into. So like there are much more definitions regarding this, so I will skip to the next slide. This is a infographics of the internet users. It's a 5-year-old picture, which I got it from the International Telecommunication Union. As you can see, like the regions like the European side and the US, the internet users in these sites are much higher comparing to this the least developed regions like the South Africa and all. As I told you, India, this is a 2015 infographics. It has changed, and now India has come into a high position. And this is another infographics which gives us the information about the internet users per 100 inhabitants, and I got this from the International Telecommunication Union from the US. Here also you can see the developed world have starting from 1996 to 2018. You can see the rise in the internet users stuffs kind of that. And the second one is the global scenario, and this one, the blue one, is the developing world, where like our nations can be included. And digital exclusion has also like very definitions, or the digital skills and digital literacy comes under gender and digital divide. Like there are examples as I am given, and this location stuffs kind of that things. And yes, the digital gap, there will be economic gap which leads to digital gap, there will be racial gap, disability gap, gender gap, LGBT age gaps, kind of things like that. I think I don't want to explain this much more because of this kind
you can come to the point.
Yes,
to the COVID.
So my objective was to examine the digital divide in India, like special focus on Kerala. As I mentioned in my topic, I will be doing a study on the students, okay, the vulnerable who are excluded from the online classes, and to identify the internet penetration rate in the rural and the urban area, to find out the impact of the online class in this pandemic period, to identify the exclusion of students in online classes, and to examine how to tackle down this digital divide. So I had taken these secondary data for my study, like information collected by the government departments, organizational reports, data that were originally collected from the other research purposes and all. And because at this point of time it's not possible to do a online survey, because we are talking about digital divide, and doing an online survey among them won't be justifiable. So okay, coming to the digital divide in India, as you all know, like someone had mentioned already, India is the second largest internet users, consisting of 630 million subscribers, and the very cheap mobile data price, this Geo subs and all, you'll be knowing it. So this is an international, this organization, the Internet and the Mobile Association of India, in their report in November 2019, finds that internet availability in Kerala is 54%, and is second only to the Delhi NCR. This is the National Capital Region. It's 64 that topped in the internet penetration. And overall, if you are talking, India has an internet penetration of 40.6%, whereas in the US it's around 89.8%. It's the double, right? And according to the TRAI, the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, the internet density is 48.4. The rural population is 66, as you all know, and the urban population in India is 34. But if you compare it with the internet penetration or the digital divide, the internet density is...
Professor Monu, you can come to your Kerala study, because
yes,
yes.
Okay. Yeah, just give me 1 minute. Yeah, so I'll be coming to the other slides, like the Kerala versus the COVID-19. As you all know, Kerala was the first state to report the COVID-19 positive case in January 2020. All the classes and the educational institution was suspended before the Janata curfew, before the national lockdown. As you all know, the state was much successful in flattening the coronavirus curve regarding the Kerala model of health sector, which was appreciated globally. Okay, and coming to this COVID-19 online education, this Kerala government has planned to conduct online classes from June 1st, 2020 through online educations, like online classes from first standard to the 12th through the kite victors, which I will be mentioning in the later point. The program was named as the first bill, which started on June 1st, and the government claimed that all students will be benefited. But the same government and the education department had claimed, and they had the data that 2.61 lakh students don't have any access to these online platforms. Online platform, not in the sense it's Zoom, it is the mode we are using now, the Skype or stuff like that. It's normally a television channel named as Victors. So according to them, yes, the tribal and the rural area students will be the worst affected. And coming to this channel, it's known as Kite Victors channel. Kite stands for Kerala Infrastructure and Technology for Education. This was a state-owned special purpose company under the Education Department, Government of Kerala, to develop and support the ICT-enabled education schools in Kerala. It was started in 2017. Early it was known as IT school. Okay, and coming to the channel, the Victors channel, as I told you, this channel was what to say, enabled for the online education, or it was, the main purpose was to share education through online, though high quality education to students, and both students and teachers. They had many training programs and all. The first bell, as I told you, for in Kerala, around 4.1 million students are going to school. In that, 2.61 lakh students are excluded because they don't have an access to the television, especially districts like Wayanad, Idukki, Palakkad are the most affected places like that. This is the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe population distribution in Kerala, and as you can see, Wayanad is the worst what to say, hit district because of this online education, and there are many more. The number wise what to say chart which shows the district wise number of students who have no access to the internet. Okay, so the tribal students, so we said the presenter who presented just before me had mentioned this thing, the tribal girls suicide which happened in Malappuram district. Devika Balakrishnan, who was an Iyengali scholarship winner for her academic excellence, she was not able to attend the online classes because her television at her home was not in a good condition, or it needs to be repaired. So unable to bear the sadden for not able to attend the class, she set fire herself and committed suicide. What to say, a large protest erupted all over the state, demanding justice for this girl and justice for the 2.61 lakh students for online education. Okay, so but what the government had done was, like, without any precaution, they had just started the online classes immediately. Without as they have the data with them, because there is a much number of students will be excluded from this digital platform. Okay, so the government should have arranged facilities for the excluded students, as I earlier said, and the online education is, what to say, a kind of push to increase discrimination against the students from the marginal.
Mono, you have only 2 minutes. Please try to conclude. Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, as many media reports have given solid evidences regarding this stuff and all. There are, like, the media got good attention, the readers and the viewers about these issues and all. And like, I had what to say, find some outcomes to tackle digital divide, like issuing television sets. There was an initiative after this girl's death called as hashtag TV challenge, or hashtag smartphone challenge. It's all was done because of this death of this girl. The government had around 2 months in their hand, but still they didn't had done anything else to tackle these things down. And yes, services like DTH can be provided to tribal areas instead of cable connection, and finding digital hotspots in tribal area, stuff like free electricity. And most of the tribal districts are not having electricity, so how come they will get this online platform is a big question. And these were some news regarding the death of the Devika, the tribal student, and the protest erupted all across the state. And as you can see on your right hand side of the screen, the children in tribal colony get TV. It's a news report about the people, or the what to say, the people who issue or like gave television for free to the tribal students. They were crossing the river, and on the next one, the rooftop girl gets high-speed internet connectivity, was a news related to a girl who climbed to the rooftop of her home to get connectivity, and the Hindu somehow captured the picture, and the next day it was on the newspaper. And this, yes, the national service scheme collecting television, tablets, smartphones like that.
Please come to the conclusion.
Yes,
Monu.
yes, sir. So, initiatives like this, many organizations, the youth organizations, the students organization, and all the political organizations had come up with these challenges like TV challenges and all. But according to me, this government should have done it much before. They waited till the death of a student to even think about these things. So that's it with my presentation. Because of time constraint, I couldn't focus on much.
Okay, it's you shouldn't tell that. Being a professor, you should manage the time properly. And you couldn't tell about the research you have done there, because you spent much on digital divide and the international scenario, 2015 situation. That's not needed for us. And you're telling like government could have reacted more, and there are a lot of socio-political issues there. Kerala continuously, they are fighting with the center. You are taking a unitary decision. Lots of political things are also coming in, which will have an effect. And in case if you do any study on the school students or rural students, in Tamil Nadu, one system has worked really well. The issue of free laptops for school children, that has worked well. Even in a college like a city college like ours, where affluents are coming in, the first year students are using the government free laptops, and with that they could manage something. So you can concentrate on comparative studies, and you can come out with the important findings in your the next round of answering. And for the other speakers, I want you to stick on time, so that you think of the people who are sitting with us for the 2 days webinar. We need to be prompt, and we should make them really keep them really engaged. Thank you.
Okay. Next presenter, are you ready?
Yes.
Lazarus lecture, please keep to the timing.
Yes, Father.
10 minutes, try to close it.
Yeah.
Concentrate more on methodology and how you are done your research.
Sure. Should I go?
Yeah.
My, I think, slide, the PPTs with, I think, the sir.
Vijay Kumar, please share your his PPT. It's coming.
Can you hear me? Okay. First of all right. Good evening to one and all present today for this webinar, and I'm very privileged and to have this webinar with Loyola College. So the topic I've chosen is the face of digital divide in the lockdown. I think it is contradictory to the Vaishnavi ma'am who has presented the topic. I think many of us we must be shocked to see what I'm taken, the digital divide. Okay, especially in the urban area, because rural area we understood, but now let's see this one how it happens. So first of all, I have divided my this paper into around 6 topics. Then I will be escaping the topics those who already dealt with Vaishnavi ma'am and the other presenters. So first of all, we can see as I read my abstract, okay, we can make out the COVID-19 pandemic brought everything to a standstill due to the nationwide lockdown, giving no options. The lockdown and quarantine forced people to remain within 4 walls. Many educational institutions began classes through a digital platform. Online classes became a common trend. Many were thrilled and some were panicked because of the economic upheavals in India. The concept of haves and have-nots came to the limelight. Students realized the power of connectivity, which unfortunately have not couldn't connect. It's an irony that I already, as I said, that city like a Bangalore, known for its IT growth, also known as Silicon Valley of India, recounts a saga of students, not because of the lack of advancement in technology, but because of the rupture created by poor economic background of a minority. My research explicitly affirms that the unprecedented nationwide lockdown has brought in a digital divide, even in an urban community like Bangalore, as I said. I have focused on the plight of the economically backward undergraduate students of Bannerghatta zone in Bangalore urban. The digital divide that we are discussing is not only related to economic status, but also with social status. As I explain you in detail later, online classes are not feasible for many students, not because of the internet connectivity, as we said in the Vaishnavis ma'am's presentation in the rural area, but here because of the unaffordability of decent smartphones and laptops, which is inevitable for online classes, thus bringing in the digital divide during the lockdown. The stratified random sample technique was used to conduct a survey. The researcher has taken 120 samples, both male and female, aged between 17 to 25, from the colonies of Bannerghatta, Bangalore. Respondents were given a questionnaire which consisted of 11 questions that had to be answered just by putting tick mark in the given boxes, and few questions were descriptive type. With the aim to find digital divide among the undergraduate students, the author has used descriptive and qualitative research methodology in this paper. To come to the point now. So, as I already said, I have divided the topic into various 6 points. Like one of the limitations I would like to tell beforehand, these limitations. The topic chosen for the research is the new one as we connect with the pandemic. Hence, the complete paperwork is original research of the author based on the deep research and field study which I have done personally. Then researcher has consulted for the other secondary resources only for the COVID-19 status from the internet. So now I move to the first point.
There is a lot of noise from your side. What is happening?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. But I hope you are audible, Father.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
Proceed.
audible.
Okay, Father.
Proceed.
Can I skip? I think we have to jump over to the 1.6 better. Please, may I go to the second slide?
Okay.
Yeah. So I think, please pardon me because of the time constraint. I will not read the introduction, so I'll directly go to the point. So first of all, I have discussed, I have compromised the paper. So chronologically, I have done what is the concept of digital divide. Already we know, many of us we know. So I will escape, please pardon me. I will escape this point. We'll go to the next one. So COVID-19 pandemic and nationwide lockdown. The online COVID-19 pandemic has really paralyzed the world. The indefinite lockdown for more than 2 months has been a great loss for the nation. It has jeopardized economy of the country and has hampered the education of millions students already, as we know. The only so far solution is education sector has been an online classes, which is definitely bringing the digital divide among the students. Next slide, please. So the importance and advent of online classes. Okay, the three basic needs of humans are food, clothes, and shelter. In today's world, education must be added as fourth basic need of human beings. Focusing on the need and importance of education during the nationwide lockdown, the concept of online classes took birth in India, which wasn't very common before. That's the advent. Just next slide, please. The higher education and privatization. So there are growing numbers of higher education and institutions in our country, which are very essential for the holistic development of a nation. Literacy and education are the keys to socio-economic progress of the state. We agree that the state students who are in private colleges have sufficient amenities to access online classes even during lockdown. Unfortunately, the economically backward students who are in government and few private colleges are deprived of these facilities. This next one. So, era of digitalization. We cannot sit back by hearing all this. But but we have to move along with the needs of the time. Educational system in our country is growing through a transformation as it paces with digitalization. With well-planned strategy, we can sort out the problems and implement the solution to bridge the gap between have and have-nots. Next slide. So this is the final slide where I am going to include the findings with the students' socio-economic condition in the digital divide. So students' socio-economic condition caused for the digital divide in the lockdown. 120 samples collected from the colonies of Bannerghata zone showcase the social and economic condition of the undergraduate students of the area. Gender tabulation, as we said, as per samples collection, 119 respondents or 99 belong to the age group of 17 to 21 and 1% belong to the age group of 22 to 25. Next slide, please. So the gender cross tabulation in this, respondents were 23 were male and 96 were female, age group of 70 to 21. Then income tabulation. So income tabulation, among 120 respondents, it explicitly shows that 100% of the respondents belong to the below poverty level, that's BPL. In an average, the family income is just 9,000 per month. Next slide, please. Then caste tabulation. The research has found that 45% of the respondents belong to the categories of OBCs, 40% SCs, 5% STs, 5% Christian minorities, and 5% general categories. Then another one is that owning decent smartphones. Among the 120 respondents, only 35 respondents have access to a decent smartphones, which help them to access the online classes only at a time when they have sufficient data in their phone. Next one, please. Yeah, respondents' attendance on online classes. It's clearly shown in the respondents' access to have a decent smartphones that 85 respondents do not have access to online classes, even in a city like Bangalore. Number of decent smartphones in the family. Among 122 respondents, only 25 families have more than one smartphones. Rest, they were happy with one. Yeah. Previous slide, please. Something is skipped. Yeah. Then another point is that parents' interference in using mobile phones. It is found that 16 among 20 female respondents who own good smartphones have parents' interference in use of smartphones, as it has been a social taboo in the society. Respondents' willingness to attend the online classes. 90% of the respondents prefer normal, regular classes. Yeah. Then another point is that, next one, please. Relation between socio-economic conditions. So I will conclude with this. So the 95 respondents belong to the Dalit and minority communities who are under below poverty level, that's BPL. The dominance of upper caste over lower caste, as our history has witnessed in the past century, has been visible in today's world in a socio-economic forms at present. Next one, please. So the face of digital divide has been prevalent during COVID-19 pandemic or nationwide lockdown in our country. As the research has revealed that the majority of the respondents have been deprived of the online classes just due to their financial status, which is connected to their social status as well. Next one, please. It is high time to burn the night's oil and to find a perfect solution to balance the haves and have-nots in our society. We shouldn't deprive the education just merely on the basis of economy and social standing. As the researcher in this paper discovered, the social status has been a relevant reason in economic background of the Dalits and other minority communities. Next one, please. So on the other hand, some families still believe in a social taboo. Some of the respondents' parents do not allow the girl child to use the smartphones, for which they have their own social reasons, which is irrelevant in this cyber era. If the society is unable to do away with such social taboos and discrimination of women in society, then our society won't progress socially and economically. Next one. So the think tank of the society needs to focus on the emerging problems on digital divide many students are facing at present. The nationwide lockdown has witnessed the peak of digital divide within a span of just 3 months. As we have seen in research that majority of the undergraduate respondents do not prefer online classes since it's discriminatory in nature on the basis of their weaker financial background. Last one. Next slide, please. So finally, to cope up with the trending problem of digital divide among the undergraduate students, educational institutions need to come up with innovative strategies and plans. Besides, government along with philanthropists should be able to provide a decent smartphones or else subsidies to buy it to the students. However, we need to uplift the Dalits and minorities from below poverty level for the permanent solutions to deal with the problem of digital divide. So that's all. Well, thank you so much.
Okay, well presented, Lazarus Lepcha. There is one observation from our common friend Thomas Jayaprakash. He has commented, I think it's important to establish the background and importance of your research, major findings of your research and research framework, which are important, which I feel, the forthcoming, the presenter should follow. And especially in Lepcha's presentation, you have come to the conclusion that this digital divide is connected to the financial and social status. Of course, it's obvious. And I would suggest you to go for a deeper insights into, extra things. Like you have found out one thing like children are not allowed to use smartphones. It's a taboo. Right. This alone is a particular topic, and if you go probe deeper, that'll come up with a good research article. It's a good issue to be probed upon. So don't hang up on the common issues, right? It is not just it's a social divide, the cultural divide, the financial thing, haves and have-nots. These are all common for everyone who is presenting papers in such conditions. So you have to find out one small problem and highlight it, bring your own theories, and that will be better. Maybe if you are in the end, you can talk about what makes the parents to tell like them, and how these children feel in turn, and government giving cell phones, will it work? And
Yes.
These are a lot of things which needs to be discussed, and we'll do it at the end of the session.
Thank you.
I think we are having one more speaker.
Yeah. Asma Dunusha, are you ready? Vijay Kumar, get ready with the PPT. Asma Dunusha, yeah. She's not there.
If she's not there, we'll just see the slides for a few minutes and then go back to the discussion.
Yeah. I will try to send a message.
See 4:40 or something. Hope she comes back.
She is trying with the phone. That's why you got cut.
Reported and unreported violence against women during lockdown. It's an interesting topic, and people are waiting for it.
Yeah, she's a law college professor.
Oh, great. Or shall we go for discussions, and if she comes in between, she can permit her, sir?
Yeah. I sent a message to her in WhatsApp. Let's see whether she will respond. Okay, you facilitate discussion.
Because it's 4:30, we still have 30 minutes of time. And even she turns after 10-15 minutes, she can join in between. So we can go back and, basically what I was expecting, because lots of research scholars, students were there, and we cannot expect much of theoretical orientation from them. uh, the COVID linking to the seminar topic, like everyone, they use the word digital divide and this information gap theory. And you have to come further, travel down, and relate it to what has happened now. So for that, the news reading, I find a bit less. That is my observation. Of course, one person had promptly, there was one interesting slide from his presentation, 6 news clippings from the Hindu, and really that is a document. Instead of asking, go for random sampling. You when you get from a media, it's from a published one, and it makes some sense. And all these speakers, I think they should have touched upon the topic of digital media. See, I think 5 speakers, and they stayed with media and COVID. This topic, this is a unique session given for digital media. So whenever we prepare some paper presentations, you should go back, read the topic again and again, and read the general topic and the discussion, the session part, and prepare something for that. And another thing is like view alternative views. If I I am to present a paper, what I would have done. That is what I'm to share now in 2-3 minutes. Like what has happened to the online media just because of COVID. The
Hello?
mainstream media. I think
Hello?
she's coming back. Yeah, please,
Hello,
Asmatunisha,
am I
you're back.
audible?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
very clear. You can proceed.
Hello?
Yeah, Asma has come.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, sir, she has come. Sir, ask her to present.
Yeah.
Okay.
Asmatunisha, you can present yourself.
Yeah. She's
Hello?
yeah. We are hearing you. Please go
Hello,
ahead.
am I audible?
Yeah, audible.
Proceed.
Hello?
Yeah, your voice is audible. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry. So there is a rain here and network got disrupted.
Good thing.
A very good afternoon to the organizers and the extreme delighted and intellectual galaxy of presenters. This is Asma Tunisa ji, Assistant Professor from JSS Law College, Mysuru. At the outset, I would like to congratulate Loyola College, Autonomous Chennai, Department of Visual Communication, Media Arts and Animations for organizing such a thought-provoking 2 days webinar on COVID-19 lockdown virtual conference, game changers in communication and media, dimensions and implications. The topic which I have chosen for presentation is reported and unreported violence against women during lockdown. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. I would like to begin. No. Previous slide. I would like to begin with this quote. There is no change of the welfare of the world unless the condition of woman is improved. It is not possible for a bird to fly one wing. This is profusely said by Swami Vivekananda. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the gamut or a crux of my presentation for today. Reported news or nuggets of media during lockdown pertaining to women, media's unreported miseries of women during lockdown, and conclusion. Perhaps I'm going to deal in deep. Mass media plays a very important role in communication. Mass media creates awakening in society. They are the fourth organ of the government, the other three being legislature, executive, and judiciary. Mass media reflects what is happening in the society. And mass media plays an effective role in conveying messages that needs to be conveyed. If, of course, all of us early in the morning look at newspapers, look at the bulletins as to what is happening. And during this time of pandemic, that is COVID-19, everybody is eager to listen to what is happening in and around us. Everyone is eager to listen what is going on in and around us, because communication is important, and it is equally important in women's development, because mass media plays in its role in almost all the significant from all the significant level. It creates awakening in women to achieve their potential as the prime movers of changes in society. Role of print media or electronic media is very important. And this time, as I said, the nuances, whatever is happening new, how it is affecting the society as large, how it is affecting the world at large, where are we positioned with, all we come to know because of media. Media plays a major role during lockdown. Social media always update the current affairs to the people during lockdown. Social media's role is very vital to control people's emotion, stress, fear, and help them to update the current scenario. Next slide, please. So, reported nuggets, that is the reported news of electronic media during lockdown pertaining to women. So, coming on to, as we all know that COVID-19 has left us not only us globally the devastating effect. Pertaining to women especially, we would like to focus on the economy first. In terms of economy, as ILO estimated that 2.7 billions of workers representing around 81% of world's workforce is adversely affected, while IMF projects is lurching the world economy towards a global recession, which will be striking different from past recession. Emerging evidence on impact of COVID-19 suggests that women economic and productive lives will be adversely affected disappropriately and differently with that of the men. Further, it is also across the globe that women earn less, save less, hold a less secure job, are more likely to be employed in the informal sector. They have less access to social protections and are the majority of single parent household. Their capacity to observe economic shocks in therefore less than compared to men. Service sector including retail, hospitality and tourism where women are overrepresented. The situation is worst in developing countries where the mass majority of women employment is there. 70% of women employment is there in informal economy with few protection against dismissal or paid sick leaves and limited access to social protection. This often depends on the economic sector which is affecting during the COVID-19. The lessons of Ebola is also challenging aspect in COVID-19, and what are the steps taken in COVID-19 prevention aspect is yet unknown. This is a reported aspect of COVID-19 pertaining to economy. Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
Yeah, Vijay.
Health impact. Health impact of the pandemic is also a greatest challenge for women during this lockdown. Health pandemic can make it more difficult for women to receive treatment from health services. Most of them are frontline workers. Women have unique health needs, but they are less likely to have access to quality health service, essential medicines and vaccines. Maternal and reproductive health care or insurance coverage for routines as catastrophe health cost, especially in rural and marginalized communities. Restrictive social norms and gender stereotypes can also limit women's ability to access health service. All this have particular impact during the widespread health crisis. They are also in the majority of health facilities. Service staff such as cleaners, laundriers, caterers, etc. play a critical resource away from the provisions, which may result in exacerbated maternity and morbidity of a woman. Increased rates of adolescent pregnancy, HIV, sexually transmitted disease are likely to be affected post-pandemic. In Latin America and Caribbean, it is estimated that an additional 18 million women will lose regular access to modern contraceptives, even the current context of COVID-19 pandemic issue. Given in the heightened vulnerability of women frontline workers, violence against women is also emerging during this pandemic. And further, it is said that very recently it appeared in news that the women who were working as a housemaid or household work they were involved in Delhi especially. Most of the women were terminated, or most of the women were said bye from their job. It is because of the spread of pandemic, and there were highlighted bulletins that one maid who goes to 4 to 5 houses to work has a spread pandemic. So next is violence against women. On 5th of April, the Secretary General called a global ceasefire, and he said that end all types of violence against women. That is the focus of attention. That is the center of attention during the pandemic. But violence is not on the battlefield. It is also at homes. Since women are forced to be locked with their preparators. Once the homes was called as a heaven, now during lockdown it has turned into jails, which was very recently highlighted in the bulletin and in the live domestic violence report. Some domestic violence shelters are full, other have closed. Other had to close or has repairs as health centers. The United Nations General Secretary Antonio Guterres has sounded an alarm that is violence against women is turning into a horrific global surge. According to WHO, 35% of women around the world have already experienced some form of sexual or gender-based violence in the lifetime. In some crises setting, the number has skyrocketed, that is 70% from 35%. Very recently, Women Commission has also come out with the latest report that within a short period of 3 to 4 weeks, there is a skyrocketed complaints filed in via mail. That is 257 complaints filed via mail to the National Women Commission chairperson, and she says that still the numbers may be more, because what about the illiterate woman who does not know to send mail? And even toll-free numbers, around 50 centers have been opened to access any sort of complaint or to lodge any sort of complaint pertaining to domestic violence. Next slide, please. Yes, this is a government call and the initiative which is taken especially during pandemic, that is COVID-19. Government helpline receives, I told you, 92,000 calls on abuse in just 11 days. Imagine the plight of abuse the women are undergoing. This is a reported one. The Delhi High Court has given directions to come out with immediate come out with the immediate action to curb this violence against women, especially during the pandemic. Women and Child Development Department has also taken the initiatives and they have reported the same. Jammu and Kashmir High Court, so moto, that is by its own, has taken initiative to curb violence against the woman in its particular state. Our own Karnataka High Court very recently has issued an order to the government as to what are the measures they are taking, since domestic violence aspects and its protection aspects has already been taken by the state of Karnataka and other states as well, like Delhi. What are the proactive steps? What are the new steps? What are the reports which they have done to be submitted to Karnataka High Court? That is the order which is issued by the Karnataka High Court. And even UP, Uttar Pradesh state has come out with the slogan to curb domestic violence. All states across the country have taken proactive steps, have taken immediate steps with relating to a call to curb domestic violence. And even WHO has released a handbook on how to combat domestic violence during pandemic.
Asma,
An NGO by name All India Council of Human Rights, Liberties and Social Justice, that is AICHLS, have claimed that there is an increased number of domestic violence incidents since the nation was put under lockdown, and sought for immediate urgent intervention of the court. And court has acted proactively. Court has showed its judicial activism, and court has since time given support to women and directed the government concerned to act proactively to protect women from domestic violence. Next slide, please.
Asma, you only 2 minutes. Try to wind up.
All right, Father. Over 50 helplines to help women facing domestic violence have been during the lockdown, and this is the number which is there on my slide. I would not like to go. 181 is the woman police force number, and 1291 is the active 24/7 numbers. This is very seldomly shown in the news or in the bulletins. Next slide, please. This is the unreported nuggets of women which they face during the lockdown. During the lockdown, the miseries of women has touched the framed. It has skyrocketed. The miseries has touched the skyrocketed. The global crisis of COVID-19, wherein women are facing, media also which turns stones into pebbles, have not given its look on the plight of the woman. So there is a say, I mean to say that there is a what is called as research which says women have 8 hours of unpaid work, whereas 56 minutes of unpaid work men are involved in. How women are facing during their lockdown in the so-called homes, that has been not reported by the media at all. And apart from that, how women are looking into the house with relating to school going children, sick and old age people is not touched by media at all. United Nations Educational, Scientific, Cultural and Organizations, shortly called as UNESCO, has said that 1.52 billion students are affected because of this COVID-19. Where do these students go? They will be at home, and who will look after this children? It is the duty of the mother. How will that particular mother plight be at the home is again unreported by the media. Apart from that, the aged old women, supposed to be 57% globally, that is above the age of 70 years, what are their plights is not touched by media. Of course, Jan Dhan Yojana has been the newly initiative of the government of India. But how far this is beneficial is again a big question mark, is not been touched by media. Adolescent girls drops out and their problems is not been touched by the media. No bulletin covers this and no news covers this. And the impact on humanitarian and fragile settlement of human rights pertaining to women, this is not being touched. Women and court litigation, many women are facing court litigation, many women are facing the maintenance aspect. What is the plight, how court is taking into consideration, how virtual litigation is being provided justice with. No media, no news is being touching report on this particular issue. And also, what about the women who are displaced, who are refugees, who are rural, who are poor, who are marginalized? Nobody is there to take care of them. And particularly, what about the women who are what is called as migrant workers? Nobody is there to look into their plights. All are busy with that particular army aspect, with that particular China aspect, but no media throws light on this issue. Pandemic has frozen the life of women, and women are crumbled to this pandemic. The big question of today is how much of media is covering the plight of women and domestic struggle which they face, lack of contractual jobs which they face, prenatal and postnatal medical health care they face. Frontline workers are supposed to be the highest number women, especially nurses. What are the risks to this virus they face? All this is being not touched by media. And to conclude, I can say that there should be a striking balance as to the news reporting is concerned. There should be a separate news, particularly for women during this time of pandemic. What lessons we have learned from Ebola is still afresh in the minds of us, but this crisis have left us nowhere. So though we have freedom of speech and expression, and though we have media regulations and guidelines, but there should be a separate channel which focuses on all these issues, apart from the general aspect, apart from the lengthier aspects of other important news. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Sir,
Okay.
I think we can start
Hello?
with the presenter now, since he's
Hello?
online.
Hello?
Okay,
Hello?
okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Because we don't want to go for right from one and come to you last. Since you are available online, we'll start with it. So you have blamed, like everybody knows in such a situation, the women, definitely the news items, the things, the cases registered, a lot of violence against women has increased, no doubt about it.
Yes,
But
sir.
we just can't blame the media that they have not highlighted, because if you I am following the media a bit closer, at the starting itself, one Hyderabad mother traveling in her scooty to bring her son 500
Yes, yes,
kilometers, it was a
yes.
big news. Then
Yes, sir.
one one daughter, taking his father to the Pondicherry hospital for over 100 kilometers, it made news. So it's not for you to blame that it's not coming there, because with the emergence of new media and digital media, you have there is a scope for a wider perspective. Anybody can write about anything. So without blaming that it's not coming, it's open to us.
So
So you
I'm
just
sorry
think
to
in
say,
those lines.
I'm sorry to say, sir, it is not blaming, but what am I telling is there should be a separate channel exclusively to focus this kind of plights against women. And there are media guidelines. The media is not prevented because freedom of speech and expression is there under Article 19(1)(a), and they can make use of that, and they can be a separate channel exclusively to focus on the plight of women during this pandemic or COVID-19.
No, it's open. We have in India, we have over 900 to 1,000 channels, right from, for everything we have a channel. So nobody prevents that. The thing is like, who will keep them offering regular feeds? We have lots of women's
Yes,
commissions,
yes.
and it's up
I
to
do
them
agree.
to
I
think
do
and
agree.
come out with a
I do agree.
proper thing.
Just to share one of my experience with you, sir. I'm sorry if I'm taking much of your time. One of my friend who said to be a law student, she is a student. She's my friend. She says even she is not aware of 50 helpline numbers pertaining to domestic violence. This is the plight. I mean to say, how we are unaware, maybe because of that, our media is not coming out with an effectiveness to that extent that it is reaching to an ordinary or illiterate woman as well. So that is my point of view, sir.
Okay,
We
now
can
at
take
least for
questions
her,
from the participants.
yes.
Yeah, participants can post your question in the chat box, as well as you can unmute your mic and ask question. Anybody can ask. Sharmila, there is a question in the chat box. Tony Prabhu, MSc student, has asked, do you see that? Sharmila, are you in the discussion?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am there.
Yeah, please go to the chat box and then,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, I'm just watching it, sir. I don't find any questions. What was the question, sir?
It can be read out, sir.
Yeah.
Tony, I just asked about whether these online classes can really replace the school. I mean, the direct classes, because still the students, we were speaking about only the parents who were struggling. The students themselves have not yet adapted, and I don't think they would adapt to such. Even at college level, we find it difficult to adapt ourselves to.
No question of replacement. It cannot happen. We see a lot of things. It's all a joke happening there. So don't. We needn't worry about it. It cannot happen like that. It even can't even substitute to this. The human touch is very, very important than the touch screen. No question like that.
Even since sir Jayaprakash sir was asking me to just have a you would have had a suggestion from the family physician, no?
Yes.
So same way, I have not a family physician, but from the point of view of an academician, a preschool owner, when I talked to her, what was her point was that we were not able to feel the touch and feel of the child. We invite them to the school, we make them settle down to the school, but wherein at home it is not the same scenario. They are with us from the entire day, and they too said that they feel teachers being humiliated by the parents. That was one point that was said by them, and they said, yes, we do accept that there is technical issues, we have to learn the technical issues, but still the parents can understand the situation. It's not, even we are new to the technique and the online teaching methods. the parents also should cooperate. It can't be just the blame can't just be to the technicians or to the teachers. The parents also should understand the situation and accept the situation. That was one point from the academician that I spoke. Even she was a parent of a 4-year-old, so I just got an information from that.
So what I get from sir's response and your response is that all these online gimmick is only a bridge between, I mean, a bridge to keep up the academic progress of the children. It cannot become a routine. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
We are
Thank you.
just introducing
obvious.
them to the new technique. That's it.
This new technique, they're already into it. These kids are, brighter than us. They know the
Yes,
technique.
yes,
In
yes.
fact, they play with us. And
Yes, we are.
I'm not, no, I might be right, because the way we have called our exams online, we
Because
send
I
some.
don't know to unmute and mute, but my son knows to mute and unmute.
No, you leave that. Most of us are conducting exams in the name of online. We send a question paper and they have to send an answer. In between, what happens? In fact, we are learning a lot of things from them. I just can't say in words. It's totally, we are abusing the technology. That is what I feel. And if there are any questions for her from the participants, they can ask. Otherwise, we'll move for the next speaker.
Okay.
And
Hey,
even,
hello.
yeah.
Yeah, this is Shorni from Madurai. It's not a question, but it's an opinion I want to share for the last participant from Hubli. She mentioned about media playing an active role in promoting or propagating the domestic violence issues or programs related to that. But I'd like to ask how many of us are watching Doordarshan regularly, because Doordarshan promotes programs related to education, family, health, regularly, especially evening hours. So most of us are not even watching Doordarshan, and we are more or less channels which have only entertainment as its content, primary entertainment as its content. So that way we cannot entirely blame media. We are having a selective perception towards media, I believe. Even I mean to say, All India Radio has a lot of programs related to education, related to women's rights, related to law, related to health. So they have a lot of educational programs, awareness programs. But the problem is we don't access them.
Yeah, that was an answer of the speaker.
Okay.
Any other question? And I think those who are online, they can answer. We have.
But Jayaprakash, immediately after the presentation, you said some of the areas could be covered. That
Yes,
speakers, presenters could answer that.
Yeah, I think Machun, Kamal.
So Vaishnavi here.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, can I show my data to you, the research methodology, the chart?
Yeah, some infographics which you had worked on and connected to the findings. So her topic, digital divide during lockdown regarding undergraduate students in rural area.
Rural area, yes, sir.
So she had used the word new normal, which I feel is the most abused word these days. Spending 4 hours on internet, what do they do?
Yes, sir. So also I saw some questions in the chat box. I'll answer to those questions.
Yeah.
So in this data, I already told you about the genders. Almost equal number of male and female participants are there in this study. And arts and science students are major. And the family income also I mentioned in the findings. And the awareness detail, only 52 students are aware of the ICT. And most of the students use the mobile to access internet. Then coming to the internet accessibility, 85 students.
Tell me the important ones. Don't go for the normal ones, because this is summing it up, and you take 1 minute to answer.
Okay, sir. In the chat box, someone have asked me about the The place where I took the data, yeah, it is in and around Tiruvallur district, sir.
Okay.
Who asked me, I don't know. It is in and around Tiruvallur district. From the students, I collected the data. And what is the cost? They asked me the cost. Only I can put only 20 questions to the students, as they can't answer more than 15 questions. They'll be ignoring the surveys. So I got only 20 questions. In that, I didn't ask about the rates of the mobile data packages they use. Minimum data packages around 200, I think so. But in the affordability question, they have answered that it is not affordable during this lockdown period. The data packages are not affordable during this lockdown period.
And one question for you, like you have identified the lack of confidence, competence, knowledge level with the teachers. Did you do anything with the institutions? You know, many institutions, they teach animation, Maya and Mantra, everything, but they don't have a proper software. Poor teachers, they work at home and they don't have a proper software, and it is pushed upon them. Any finding on that, or any work you have done on that?
No, sir. I just took that as a case studies. I took the details from the articles. I did it as a case study. I didn't get the primary data from the teachers or the faculty. Yeah.
You can improvise, Vaishnavi.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay.
Sure.
We can call for the next speaker.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Next speaker is Sarmila. That Lazarus Lepcha.
He's online.
Yeah. You have to say anything final words.
Face of digital divide, Bannarghetta area in Bangalore. Girl child. You can highlight something on that. Like girl child not allowed to use smartphones, and what is the problem, and the stigma, and how to overcome. That's an interesting one which you can tell it to others.
Yes,
very
sir.
surprising.
It was so nice to listen to you, because the seasoned people I have come across today, okay, from whom I could get a lot, and this is the wonderful opportunity for me. So why I did not concentrate much on that area, but I felt the importance of the people are curious, because when I speak about this digital divide in urban area. Usually when we speak about digital divide in a rural area, understood, the connectivity and so, no proper facility. But many people, they think as in Bangalore, as that is called, the IT hub, how can there be this digital divide? Many people who have these questions in their mind. So in order to, I went to the project, how can it can happen in the city like Bangalore as well, which is the IT hub. So in that reason, I have focused on.
Come to the point directly. How did you find out that the girls are not allowed to use smartphones being a city?
So because even in fact, I was conducting the the online. In fact, I was conducting the online classes and so on. Then some of the students, they are regular absentees. They don't. Then I asked whether they had the mobile or not. Then somehow I came to know through their friends they had the mobile phones, but their parents are just they hold on to their social taboos, because once they open the mobile, they may think that they are bluffing their parents and they are talking to some boys or some of their boyfriends. In that case, here most of what I face among my students, even a BCom, BA, all the students are these. Many of the parents are still in the social taboos. They are waiting for their children, especially girl child, to just finish up their graduation and to give them to somebody else for marriage. So in that case, these parents are so much scared with the uses of this mobile.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions, sir?
And in fact, among the participants, I find Dr. Anbarasan from Mizoram University. Last week he made an excellent presentation of something called the post media scenario. And if you could come in and tell about what is happening with the new media after COVID, that will be nice. Before that, any of them, they can present their answers. He's there, Dr. Anbarasan from Mizoram University.
Tejpur.
Good evening. I was happy to hear lots of people talking about the digital divide and we are living in a world where virtual reality is becoming more and more, the norm, new norm, the most abused word. Uh, but I don't know. Somehow we should also go beyond this quantitative studies and look at the qualitative aspects of this digital learning. Uh, because digital divide is just not the binary. People who have access, people who do not have access. But within that, there are so many categories of people who have different kind of devices. Like Sharmila mentioned about how a family might have two mobile phone or two laptops. So if there are three children of this one child, so there are a lot of problem like this. So there are different categories of people who are not even into learning anything from this thing. We had the suicide in Kerala because a girl couldn't access any device. I was thinking whether we should also look at how the digital learning is affecting on the children. How McLuhan talked about medium is the message. Whether learning through this digital platform itself is having a different kind of effect, or simply learning in the classroom and learning through the digital media, how they are having a concepts cleared, how they are learning newer knowledge, how they are learning skill, and how because they are now learning without their peers, learning without the teachers' responses, feedback, and because the government has been lenient because of this various problem, including avoiding the exams, avoiding the assessment, avoiding pausing people. So maybe the seriousness of the kids also has lessened because the stress level of coping and then getting marks and then passing the exam, scoring above their classmates is not there. So whether we are managing the time, because the week is going into month is going into seasons, and so psychologically we feel the need to do something and then make the children do something, or are we actually substantially gaining something in terms of knowledge and concepts? These are the qualitative studies some people can also take up in future. I think we have psychologist students here, law student here, and then a person who's studying about gender, different perspective, tribal perspective. But most of them also need to go beyond the quantitative aspects and also bring in the qualitative aspects of what happens to their psychology, the family relationship, and then the human relationship, and are we becoming more happy with the device than participating socially. So there are the different kind of new problems coming up. This session of course has thrown important aspect about the digital learning itself and brought out various aspects. But I think there are these additional aspects we can pick up from there and then go beyond whatever we have studied.
Thank you, Professor Anbarasan. That was a good observation. And I want Mr. Machun Kamal, the first presenter, to answer about what happened with the EduSat CEC MOOC, because we get a lot of negative reports. Even today with MOOC, folks have come out with a scathing attack. They've mentioned some, maybe it might not be the view of Forbes, a writer's expression. It's a voyeurism in education. 20% of them only they could get a pass, and those who pay and use it, they get a better pass percentage than the free to get in. So MOOC is questioned. And EduSat, we boasted that India has its own exclusive satellite for education. What had happened with it? Where did it go? Why that model was replicated? Any study where Mr. Machun Kamal can come and reply, or if he's not there, something
Kamal can tell back. She's there.
Yeah.
Okay, so as far as EduSat, the major points that were mentioned was in terms of lack of network connectivity in areas where they were established, and also the type of content that was generated was not contextualized to sustain the learning, and also the
Yes.
management structure, the bureaucracy that we are all very well aware of. And then, of course, there are places where satellite education has been successful, places in Ethiopia, in Philippines, and other places. And of course, even in India, we have seen states, I don't remember right now, but states which are trying to revive EduSat by incorporating it into portals like Swarm and so on and so forth. In fact, NIC is another initiative wherein you have community involvement. But like we mentioned in the beginning of the research presentation, like we have so many policies, but maybe the lack happens when we try to implement it. And it is also because maybe I would like to go to the philosophical perspective of how do we view technology. We need to unpack. That's where we said we need to unpack. Maybe I belong to that post-human school of thought, critical post-human, where we have to look at technology and human as both actors in a particular context in order that it will be successful. And that also makes us look at, like I mentioned in the last part of my presentation, how do we look at learning? How do we look at technology? What do we mean by education? Is the education that we have right now sustainable? We see there's no flexibility in our style of learning. That is where we have so many gaps. We are dependent on so many things. We are dependent on teachers, we are dependent on technology, we are dependent on the institutional structures. So that is where maybe from the philosophical perspective and also from the ontological perspective, we need to relook at how do we position all of these discourses so that at the implementation level, again, following the actor network theory that I had mentioned, we can think of education which is inclusive and which also brings about equity, like we had mentioned earlier. And as far as COVID, so you had also mentioned about what is happening in the COVID scenario with the usage of apps. We see that a lot of we are working on the essentials because lockdown has asked us to work only on essentials. So even in terms of technology, most of the technologies are one which have worked is content which is already available. There's not much time during the lockdown to create too much of new content, though there are people working on it. And again, because of the digital divide, there's no time to create new content. So people are relying on educational apps which have already existed, lots of YouTube videos which have existed. This is being circulated for learning purpose. And a lot of free and open resources are being used. And yes, sir, you had mentioned MOOC as well. Yes, the usage of MOOC has increased, but again we need to see in which areas they have increased. That is where we had those different areas in the figure that I had presented where the digital divide exists, not only in terms of technology but in terms of how we understand technology, how we position ourselves, and where is technology positioned in this context. And again, it leads us to that old cliche that one size of course does not fit everybody. And again, of course, laptops cannot replace necktops, definitely.
Yes, and in fact, like the relevance of the content matters than the technology.
Yes.
So everybody, it's like you could have heard about this 3D film when it came to India, My Dear Kutichatan. It took by storm. Soon another 20, 30 films came in and nothing worked out, and now they stopped 3D. So it was a commercial exploitation. They gave a glass through which the people got affected. They had eye problems. No, just technology. It's a tool. So unless we are the masters of the content, unless we provide relevant content, technology won't work out. So that should be the lesson for all of us. And I want Mr. Monu NC, like he was mentioning, like Kerala was successful in flattening the curve. Of course, the way the Keralites live, it's different. If you take about COVID, how it is there, 60 to 70% of those people who are affected, they live in the metros. And luckily, Bangalore and Kochi, anything from Kerala, they're spared. It's because they could follow the message. Something has happened, and I don't think like Kerala has flattened the curve. And now you see the past 3-4 days, the number is increasing to 100. So it is like they have delayed it. It's a good thing. By delaying this process, by delaying the infections, they could get themselves equipped, like arranging the hospitals. And one more thing, what the media should do now is like All these days they were telling about how it gets transmitted, but now it's in. We need to focus on the treatment procedures. We
Yes,
just can't tell it is not here. The numbers are revealing. They were telling first stage, second stage, third stage. Ultimately, lakhs, millions have been infected, and everything sociologically we are affected, psychologically, economically we are affected. It is in. So how to go about, how to deal with it? That is what is needed now, and flattening the curve. Just we can't confirm now. Anything else from you, Mr.
Yes,
Mono?
regarding the flattening of the curve, I mean, like as I said at first in the presentation, Kerala was the first state to report COVID-19 much before. Like it happened in January first week itself, when this medical student from Wuhan came back. Okay, and after that, when from March onwards, the positive reports came from different parts of the states. So sorry, the different parts of the country, right? So and there was like evidences from the BBC, the Washington Post, and immense not only national medias, all the international medias was discussing about why Kerala had successfully flattened the curve, while it was at the March first week, Kerala was the at the top with the number of positive cases, and now it's like below 15, I think so. Like as you said, it's true. Like for the last
The
three or
real
four
reason
days.
is like
Yes, yes,
sorry to interrupt. The
yes.
real
So
reason is they had another epidemic last year. I don't get the name.
yes, yes, Nipah virus, Nipah virus.
Yeah, Nympha
2018.
virus.
Yes,
They
yes,
had the experience.
yes, yes,
They
yes. We
learned
had a
how to
similar
deal with it,
experience how
and that
to tackle.
experience helped
Yes,
them
yes,
to,
yes, exactly. Yes,
come inside. So
yes, yes, yes.
experience matters.
Yes, yes.
And I would like the participants to come out with some more questions to any of the speakers. Then I'll go for the summing up.
Yeah. So it is getting time up. We'll try to conclude. Yeah.
And in case if you give me some more time, I can do it in 2 minutes, or what I
Yeah.
expected
Sure,
and what
sure.
I wanted to tell.
I give time for your summary.
Yes, sir.
Is there any important or pertinent question from the participants? If not, you go for summary, sir.
Yes, sir. What we missed. We are talking about how it came inside, who was responsible, clusters, comorbidity, immunity, all those things we are dealing in the media. But had we touched upon the real issue in the media, why such things are happening? Like I was telling, Nympha, SARS, dengue, chikungunya, we don't know even how to pronounce it. It keeps coming waves. So what is the reason? So it is time for us to analyze the conundrum of arts. That is anthropocentric approach, we are looking at it, but we need to see about the ecocentric approach. Why the cities, why the metros are affected too much? It's because of too much of population, and we talk about social distancing, and we travel together. So that is the thing. So unless we initiate the discussion on ecocentric approach, it won't work out. And what is happening? We talked about bats initially when it came, zoonotic disease. Why it came through bats or pangolins? And again, it's all because they are disturbed in their homes. So once we disturb these forests, in India, we have 5% of the wildlife of the total Earth in a 2% landmass. So, like human beings, they are also thickly populated. Once we disturb them, they come out, the conflict occurs, and in this conflict, all these zoonotic diseases are happening. And this is one thing which I feel like the government has to concentrate. Like the Ministry of Environment, a month back, the Hindu came out with a magazine page, Ministry of Forest Clearances. That should not come up as an ultimate thing, and it's time for us to think about how to go back to nature and conserve it. That is what is my thing, and the media has to look around it. And to the point, what the online media, digital media is rightly doing it. Well, lots of online medium, they cover it. You cannot see such scathing attacks on the establishment. They do it, and it is for us to pick out the right ones and follow it. And with this, I again hand over the session to the moderator. He can tell his observations comments, and we'll start working for the next session also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you, sir. Really, it was very interesting, and many interesting points have emerged. And of course, we must be very comprehensive in looking at the issue COVID-19 and the role of digital media. Of course, there are some pitfalls, there are some lackings, but still, as you said, we have to change the approach with which we deal with the issues. Moving from this anthropological approach to ethnocentric approach is very, very important. And also, when we talk about digital divide, it is not only the question of haves and have-nots. I have digital access, others don't have. Also, it is how I have access to social capitals. That also matters. That's what Sri Kumar in the keynote address, he underlined this point. So our perspective must go beyond the very definition of digital divide and have a comprehensive outlook on this problem in the wake of COVID-19. Of course, as you said, why only the major cities are suffering with the spread of virus. In the rural area, it is relatively free from virus infection because of various reasons. So as a media persons or academic community in mass communication, we need to change our approach. We need to have a comprehensive outlook. Only then we can come out with a lot of findings, and that way we can contribute to the betterment of the society at large. I hope that the presenters will improve upon the papers based on what is suggested, based on what we have discussed, and that way your paper becomes rich and it is contributing to the welfare of the society at large. So I take this time, wonderful opportunity to thank Dr. Jayaprakash, Associate Professor, Head Department of Communication, PSG College. It was a wonderful session. Sir, you did justice to the work assigned to you. Sometimes you are also ruthless in pointing out the aspects that are missing. It is very good because I always believe there should be a research rigor in our papers. Only then we prove our academic interest. So that way you are very much suggestive. You are very much caring for the researchers. That way, with your experience, we will continue to collaborate with our department even later also. I hope this all the 6 presenters will improve upon the papers and then send it to us for publication. That's what I want to say. So on behalf of the Loyola College management, for the principal and all the fathers and the faculty members, Viscom department, organizing team, I extend a big thanks to Dr. Jayaprakash. And on behalf of all the presenters, participants in this second session of the day, once again, I thank you, sir. With that, we will close. Tomorrow we have the third session at 10 o'clock in the morning. All the presenters, participants, kindly join 10 minutes or 15 minutes before the scheduled time so that we can have we can start our session on time. Thank you, one and all. We are signing off. I request the participants to fill in the feedback form, which is posted in the chat box. Kindly fill in. It will be very helpful for us to improve our organizing part. And tomorrow's first session will be COVID-19 Society and Technology. Dr. Punitha from WCC College will be the chairperson. So I request all the presenters, if they are here online, send your PPT. When you prepare PPT, kindly let us be big enough so that when we streamline in the YouTube, the YouTubers will have a better look. because today some of the PPTs letters are very small. I was receiving comments simultaneously from YouTubers are not able to read and so on. So this is a suggestion to improve. Let's meet tomorrow for 2 more sessions, one in the morning, one in the evening, 3 o'clock. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir, Jayaprakash. Yeah, I request of today's proceedings.